is Cookout 400 DFS Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. Here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up at Underdog Fantasy, promo code RACESGPN to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Get up to $750 in cashback rewards each month when you sign up at edgeboost.bet and use the promo code SGPN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and we are already going to start off with the listener comment. Have we moved, Ash says, the Xfinity Truck Show to Thursday as there isn't much out at the moment? Listen, Ash, that's exactly what we're doing because
they're scared, Rod. It's fine. It's fine. Be scared. They should be scared. Trucks and Xfinity, we usually do pretty fucking good on. So, yeah, they've got Xfinity has a full slate of stuff out, but Ash saying that truck outrights are out. I just looked like 20 minutes ago and still hadn't seen any. So they must have finally figured out where they want to put Byron at since he's in that race. Yeah, we'll have to circle back to Trucks and Xfinity Series tomorrow, but let's still talk about them. Don't worry.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing about it too, is that we're pretty flexible in this, and thankfully, we have DFS prices and we have Underdog up that we can talk about today, which is exactly what we're going to do.
Underdog's got a lot of stuff out this week, too.
Oh, my God, they do. I love it, too. John, let's effing go. Ready to put in some donations. I don't even want to talk about it. Last week, if you're in it, Laura, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, Laura. How you doing? Yeah, look, last week was the first time I'd played DFS in our contest in a very long time, only because, look, for me, it's so hard anymore to get to anything other than what I have to do every single second of every single day. So I finally got in there. I was leading for so long, and then all hell broke loose, and that was it. Like, the day was over, and as soon as that wreck happened, as soon as Blaney ended up blowing up, my day ended quickly. So very frustrated on that. That was my donation to the weekly cause. So John, hopefully this week I'll win it back.
Yeah, hopefully that's the plan. I was checking out the odds because, William Byron plus 300 for the Truck Series. Interesting. Would have bad
price.
That is not a bad price. So we'll have to see. We'll talk about it more tomorrow, obviously, but interesting. I thought he would be lower than that for sure.
Indeed. So today, just to bury the lead even more, we're going to do DFS and Underdog because, like I said, we're going to give you those picks today. We may have to, guys, as a scheduling change going forward, just put DFS and Underdog on Wednesday and then move trucks. And
potentially
it's just a long time before the truck race, but
yeah, we also don't, like, a lot of weeks don't have the Truck Series, and on those weeks it's a lot easier to just roll with Xfinity because it is out. So I don't know. I guess give us the feedback, what you like.
Or we just do what we do, and you guys love it anyways because you guys do, and which is awesome. So, and you're going to continue to download it like you do everything else in the SGPN world. And if you're looking for all of the picks and the podcast in one place, download the SGPN app wherever you get your apps. You can find this. I know college basketball is still going on. There's some hockey. UFL is about to start here pretty soon on Friday, so you'll get some action on that and all kinds of great stuff happening on that SGPN app. So make sure you do that as well. Laura saying play it by ear. Don't we always, Laura? That's the NASCAR Gambling Podcast credo. We just play it by ear.
Experts suck checking in and saying Blaney blow up was awful. Why does it keep happening to him? Nobody knows. I don't think he'd blown an engine since 2019, 2 and 3 weeks. We see the engine manufacturers go through this at times, though. I think it was it Bell last year that blew up twice in 4 races or something, and it's just random. So whether it's a bad set of parts or whether it's something that they're trying that's obviously not working. I mean, well, it worked for a while. He was fucking fast last week. So, but yeah, who knows? I would imagine that they're trying to figure out what the problem is to fix it. But yeah, who knows why that is what keeps happening.
Well, it's like I said before, and I've said, that scene in the Cars movie where they're blowing up the cars with the alternative fuel. Like, somebody got a camera up there and they're blowing up these cars and blowing up Ryan Blaney in particular. They're like, oh my God, he could win.
It's the Buffalo Wild Wings commercial where he hits the sprinkler button, right? They've got the blow his engine button, and that keeps it exciting for us.
Sorry,
Ryan.
Ryan.
Not exciting if you're playing Ryan Blaney.
Sorry, Blaney.
Like I was last week, and that sank my DFS line. It was not good lineup anyways, but that really destroyed me.
Yeah, SVG was not a good pick for you there on that one. So, just so you know, I don't know that I do that again, but yeah. All right. So we're going to Martinsville, not Richmond, by the way. So for those of you who have watched the betting picks episode from yesterday, please forgive the fact that I put the cookout from Richmond graphic up on the screen. Now, I guess a lot of people didn't notice, thank God, but I would fire my editor, which is me.
Hey, I just showed up ready to go. So
yeah, that's on me.
It happens.
But it's the Cookout 400 from the Martinsville Speedway in Martinsville, Virginia, set for 400 laps around this 0.526 mile paved track for 210.400 mile. Cody, our first official short track of the season. This is going to be exciting. We've had a lot of great racing so far, and I mean, this track always provides for us.
Yeah, it's we'll see, I guess, is kind of where we're at. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, the short track thing has been not great, but they've sort of maybe figured some stuff out. Some of that's due to the tires. It's not an option tire deal this weekend, so I think that we're still going to be in for a pretty solid race. There is going to be periods of this race where somebody is going to lead 130, 150 laps at a time, and be prepared for that, because that's what type of racing we get on short tracks. And if you ask Tony Stewart and you look up the definition of racing, it is different than the definition of passing. And so, that's how it goes. But yeah, we've got 400 laps this weekend. So that's 400 laps led, 400 fastest laps. There's going to be a lot of fucking points scored in DFS this week.
Yep, a ton to be had, and hopefully some good place differential for you as well. So, as we always do, we give you our favorite high-price driver, our favorite mid-tier driver, and our favorite low-price driver for the slate. And then, of course, we'll come back after our second break, give you all of our Underdog Fantasy picks for this Cookout 400 as well. So, Cody, I feel like we've sufficiently talked this up, and it's time to start delivering some DFS picks.
I like it. Let's do that. Just real quick, experts suck saying, is he unplayable, unbettable until further notice? No, he's hard to bet this week because he is the favorite in this race. But there's no way to know when engines are going to expire. They come from a top-notch team. Ford engines are usually pretty reliable. Obviously, if he's not had an engine failure since 2019, this is kind of out of the blue and different. 2 was crazy. 3 would be insane. I'd be not saying it's not going to happen. And if it does, then obviously there's more red flags to happen. But I don't really expect that to be a continued issue or something that you need to avoid. I don't think either of us had him in the betting card this week, just because he is such a heavy favorite. Makes it hard to bet, especially in the day and age we're at right now. But just wanted to touch on that quick.
Yeah, and I know neither one of us actually have him in our DFS, but that would be a good place to get in on him too, is DFS wise. Yeah. He's the most expensive driver on the slate for good reason, and you're probably going to want to have him. We just found other ways to get around that, especially in GPP situations.
Yeah, he certainly is on the board to play, no doubt about it. All right, we ready to get into our top plays,
I
Rob?
feel like the people need to hear it.
Let's do it. I'm going to go down a little bit. So you got Blaney's at the top at 11.2. My favorite guy at the top of the board, though, is all the way down at $9,900. It's Chase Elliott week, baby. I am so big on Chase Elliott this week. I'm so pumped for him. You go back, the clash before the Daytona 500, you have the clash at Bowman Gray, the short track, the flat track, a lot of similarities to this track. Really, the most similar thing we've seen, other than the format was different. The big race was shorter, obviously less cars, all of those things. But he looked very good there. He dominated the day, led a majority of the race, wins the race kind of fairly easily, right? Denny was hanging with him, but didn't really challenge him at all. So you like that. You go and look at Martinsville. Oh, he's been pretty fucking good here too. In the next gen era, 6 races here. He has the most laps led out of any driver. And what are we going to be looking for a lot of this week? Laps led. And he continues to find his way to the front, continues to find ways to pace the field and get those laps led in there. So he's the laps led leader in the next gen era. You go back and you look in the fall race. Last time they were here, second place finish. Good finishing position. Obviously, something else you're going to be looking for. And you come back to the spring race here last year, a third place finish in that as well. He's got 4 top 3 finishes here. He's won here before. So I'm all in on Chase Elliott. And I think that his ability, so if you go back and you look over the last few races, led 129 here in the fall. He led 64 here last spring, 83 the race before that. April of 23, the one time he didn't lead any laps, guess what that was? The first race that he came back. Why they brought this is the first race he came back from the broken leg on this tough of a track where you're braking and all, like everything, no pun intended there. But so he didn't lead any laps that race. Okay, big deal. He still finished 10th, not a bad run. But before that, he led 54 laps. The race before that, 185. The race before that, 289. So 6 of the last 7 races, he's led laps. No laps the race before that, although he finished in second place. So ran pretty good. You go back to November of 2020, led 236 laps here. So 7 of the last 9 races, he's led at least 54 laps here with multiple 280, 236 laps. And you go back even farther, he's got some other races, 123 laps, 49 laps. He's really good at this track, and especially last year. And he wasn't the fastest car every week last year, and there's been talk and concern, but he showed up at this track, led a bunch of laps, had good finishes. I think that's what you're going to get from him this week. And then also we talked about him yesterday on the fastest laps prop bet, right? That was over on DraftKings. And Chase Elliott, guess what? Led the most fastest laps. Well, I was trying to find, I don't know where my stats went, Rod. I'm flipping through my pages here. It's all over the place. Okay, here it is. I almost found it. I know it's on this next page right here. There it is. Last spring, he led 41 or had 41 fastest laps. That was the most in the field. In the fall race here, the last time we were here, 64 fastest laps. Of course, that race a little longer, right? 500 laps compared to 400 laps, but still led a lot. The fall of 23 had the third fastest laps on the day with 28. So he's turning in the laps led. He's turning in the fastest laps, and he's only $9,900 all in on Chase Elliott this week.
That is a hell of a deal for sure. Yeah. And one that I don't know that a lot of people are going to be looking at, because they are going to be looking at the shiny objects in the room, like the Ryan Blaney's, like even Kyle Larson's, right? Because Kyle Larson, we talked about him a little bit too, is a flashy name on this track as well. But I'm going to go down one more for my high price driver, and that's Denny Hamlin. $10,700 for young Dennis Hamlin, or old man Denny. I don't know. Whatever, old man Hamlin, whatever you want to call him. I think this track, you cannot ignore Denny Hamlin, especially. I know 10,000 seems like a lot to swallow, but he can go out and get you a 69.5 point day like he did in 2023 and have the third most fantasy points on the day that day. Third only to Briscoe and Larson. Briscoe had 88.2 that day. Larson 83.1, but Denny right behind him at 69. So that's, almost 7 times what you paid for him. That's not bad at all. And then in 2024 in the spring, Denny Hamlin got you 58 fantasy points on the day. So even still close to almost 6 times what you're paying for him. Not bad. So really good finishes for him as far as especially fantasy wise in the last couple of seasons. But for Denny, look, man, the guy leads the entire circuit in total laps led around this track. 38 career starts, 26 top 10 finishes, 20 top 5 finishes, 5 wins. I mean, his average start and his average finish are only a half a point behind, but 2,448 laps led. That is insane. That includes 66 in the spring of last year, 36 in the spring before that, 203 though in the fall of 2022, 276 in the spring of 2021, 103 in that fall race too. So we're talking massive, massive points. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people are sort of pissed off at Denny Hamlin, especially for the way he's kind of started this season, right? He got you 63 points last week, which is great, right? But 9 the week before that, 55 the week before that, 11, 71. It's just been an up and down roller coaster ride when you put Denny in a DFS lineup, and that's fine. That's where hopefully people are like, I'm done. I don't want Denny anymore because I don't know what I'm going to get out of him. But on this track, when he heats up, buddy, there's hardly anybody as good as he is on this track. So I think it's okay in this instance to pay it for Denny Hamlin. He's got 4 of the last 5 races. He's got top 5 finishes on this track. And to me, and then the one finish that was outside of it was an 11th place finish in the spring of 2024. So, I mean, that's consistency is upon consistency, even for a guy that hasn't necessarily been that consistent to begin this season. So give me Denny Hamlin. I don't want to miss out if he's really good at this track this week at 10,700.
Yeah, I hard to argue with Denny Hamlin. He's been very, very good here over his career, and I expect him to be pretty solid this week.
Yeah, it's tough because, again, a lot of people look at it and go, I don't want to spend $10,700. But then when you miss out on Denny, then you're going to kick yourself because I should have spent $10,700 for Denny Hamlin.
It's good to be different sometimes, too.
Good
so that's always nice.
That's my motto. So, all right. Come back and give you our mid-tier drivers. But first, I would like to tell you about DraftKings. This, when it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing's for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen. So bet the unexpected every upset, every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. You get live betting, exclusive content, promos, parlays. DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time? Here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Tell you what, man, I know that March Mania is going on, but I just told you UFL is about to begin on Friday. I'll use all my bonus money on this UFL season coming up because I guarantee right now it's going to be a ton of fun. I love the UFL and I love watching it and I love betting on it. So make sure you get down on that because, you could join in on the action as well. Bet the unexpected with the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. That's code SGP for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Let's tell you about Rhythm. Rhythm is your home for AI picks and props. Rhythm is already off to a great start, helping you dominate March Madness. Building your own custom model is easy and profitable. Plus, they got models for NBA, golf, and coming soon, MLB. Love me some Rhythm plays when we start building them up for NFL models. I got a lot of great models that I built that put me on the right side of Saquon Barkley a couple of times, Derrick Henry a couple of times. I'm all about running backs. I love me some running backs, and Rhythm helped me build some great models for that last season. They'll do it all again this season too. Sign up today for your 7-day free trial. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Brain got a little ahead of the mouth on that one. I was trying to think of all the great stuff that I'm about to build on Rhythm coming up this next season.
Happens to the best of us, Rod. All right, let's dip into the mid-tier drivers. Take a look where we could save a little bit of money. Let's see if I can get these words out. I would like to take Josh Berry. That's right, Josh Berry. $8,100. Don't turn off the show. I haven't been kidnapped. I'm buying in. We're on the hype trains here. We're all in on him. He's the greatest driver to ever touch a race car. I'm going to be in on Josh Berry this week. Okay, maybe he's not the greatest ever just yet, but probably never that will be that either. But okay, anyways, moving on. Josh Berry, Martinsville, short flat track. This is where he should be the best at, right? And we saw him be pretty fucking good the last couple of weeks, scoring the win, obviously, at Las Vegas, most notably a couple of weeks ago. But things seem to be clicking in that 21 camp. Things seem to be going well over there. We referenced that most laps led stat so far this season yesterday from NASCAR Insights. And at the top of the board, it's Joey Logano in the Penske car. Then it's Austin Cindric in the Penske car. Then it's Ryan Blaney in the Penske car. 8th place on that list is Josh Berry in a Wood Brothers / Penske car. So these cars have done really well. He's got 2 starts here in the Cup Series. 25th place finish last spring in his first career start here. He was 9th and 10th in the stages, though, so he was able to run good throughout the day. Not sure what happened to get him farther back there. 16th here in the fall, end of Stewart-Haas. He was still we weren't overly impressed with what we saw last year, right? But things seem to have clicked this season, and which makes sense, obviously, with Stewart-Haas shuttering last year, and maybe guys like Rodney Childers were a little busy trying to figure out where he was going to land at Spire or whatever the case was going to be, right? So, but if you go and look at his Xfinity Series races here, his very first start leads 95 laps, wins the race, has a great day. The last 2 times they were here, 4th and 5th place finishes, led a couple of laps, continuously ran in the top 10 during the stages, which you like to see. I think at $8,100 for Josh Berry here, you're getting the upside of a good finish. But I also think if he can, I know that if he can find the track position, he can lead laps and he could put down fastest laps for you. And they don't have a lot to lose right now. I mean, they are sort of in the playoffs, right? At least as of now, assuming we don't get more than 16 drivers or 15 plus the regular season champion that didn't win any. But they're looking pretty good, and they might be able to gamble with some stuff and get him up front, get that track position, lead a bunch of laps. He's the type of guy who could do that. So I'll buy into some Josh Berry in fantasy this week, at least at $8,100.
Welcome to the Josh Berry Club. I've got a commemorative hat for you to put on. No, I don't, but it'd be cool if I did. No, look, I was on, and I don't normally do this, but I'll pat myself on the back for being on Josh Berry for this season. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be.
You've always been on Josh.
Well, this is true. I have been a Josh Berry stan since his days in Xfinity, or maybe what was it? Stocking. What was he doing before? He was
a bank teller.
Yeah. So yeah, when he was handing out $20 bills,
Rod went to his bank just so Josh Berry could take his money.
I was basically like, look, man, you are the fastest money money handler that's out there right now, and you belong in NASCAR. But no, yeah, I'm with you on Josh Berry. I had him last week. That also tanked my lineup as well. So not good. All right. I'm going to take Bubba Wallace for my mid-tier driver. He is $7,200. And Bubba Wallace, believe it or not, for $7,200, he is 9th in terms of average finish at Martinsville in the next gen era overall. 11.2 is his average finish, which puts him 9th on the list altogether. And to me, that's pretty impressive for a guy that's $7,200, because you're looking for a guy that can get you consistent finishes. Last season in the spring, he got you the 6th most fantasy points on the board that day, 51.95 points for Bubba Wallace, which at $7,200, you will take that all day long. And then you look at what he did in 2023. He got you 36.8 points. Not the greatest. It was still 14th place overall, but $7,200, right? These are the mid-tier drivers. You're looking for somebody in the middle of the tier. It's exactly in the title of what we're saying. So he is right there where he needs to be at 36. That's still, if you do the quick map back of the napkin, 5, 6. Yeah, that's still enough to where you're getting a great return on his investment initially. And for Bubba, I mean, if you look at his finishes here, 18th in the fall of last year. Okay, but he started 19th, so he didn't lose you any points either. But 4th place in the spring after a 2nd place start. That's pretty damn good. An 11th place finish after a 6th place start. Again, it's not really losing you a ton of points. It's still good for $7,200. An 11th place finish, you'll take that. 9th place in the spring of 2023 after starting 9th. So kind of didn't lose you any points at all in that day. 8th place finish after a 24th place start in the fall of 2022. 16th in the spring after starting 21st. Good DFS days for Bubba Wallace all around. And I think this is one where at $7,200, a lot of people are going to just sort of glance over Bubba Wallace because they don't particularly equate him with Martinsville, right? He's more of the Kansas guy. He's more of the Talladega guy. He's more of the guy that you target in other tracks. But Martinsville, he hasn't actually been all that bad. And when you factor in the fact that you're only spending $7,200 on him, if he can get you any sort of place differential or just get you that good solid finish inside of the top 10 or even right outside of it. And we talked a little bit about Bubba too yesterday on the betting episode and how he is kind of sneaky good on this track. So I think you take advantage of that in betting, but I also think you can take advantage of that even more in DFS.
Yeah, we gave out his top Toyota at 12-1 yesterday, Rod. You can bet it today at 6-1. So it's probably a good idea to listen to the show live sometimes. But yeah, I really like Bubba this week. And especially when it comes to the Toyota camp, he's one of the better drivers, or actually, other than Denny Hamlin, the guy you already gave out, the next best Toyota driver when it comes to this track. So I think he is definitely sneaky here this week. And hopefully a lot of people won't be on him, so that will make you a little different.
Quit driving down prices, Cody. We gotta quit moving lines. People get pissed off when we move lines.
Our Discord did it already today. Underdog came out with their projected finish for a driver that I'll talk about in a few. And then like 15 minutes after they started talking about it and hitting it, they moved his finishing position back 2 spots.
You know, Underdog doesn't normally do that, so they must have
really. I think everybody was putting in some plays real quick, and they quickly realized, oh boy, they didn't correct enough though. So we're still going to talk about it. But again, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Get into conversation over there. All right, let's save you some money. You scroll all the way down to the bottom of the board. Burt Myers, who for some reason has Michael McDowell's graphic on his picture right now, $4,700. No, thank you. Cody Ware at $4,800, Ty Dillon at $5,000, John Hardy check $52. But for only $100 more, $5,300, you can get Zane Smith, who's been a DFS stud this week. It's been a little bit hit and miss, but last week at Homestead, 4.6 points for you. He started, and like that's the crazy thing is he starts 17th, so he's not starting way back in the field, but gets a good solid finish. 11th place, scores a couple fastest lap, leads a couple laps, scores you a strong for $5,300, 40.6 points. And he was actually $5,800 last week. So they dropped his price $500 for whatever reason. But, you know, Vegas, it was a rough day for him. Started 9th and finished 23rd. So only scored 5 points. But back at Phoenix, short, flat track. Some things you can pull from that for sure. 52 points that day. He starts in 28th, finishes in 9th at the end of the day. He has just been solid, and we started to see this 3/4 of the way through the season last year. It was rough for Zane Smith, 71 team. They couldn't figure things out, so much so that Spire decided after signing him to a multi-year agreement to let him go before this first season was even over with it. And, you know, he finished out the season, but they're like, hey, you're not coming back, essentially, and kind of left out there. But he picked it up and really figured some stuff out. So you go back and you look what he's done here at Martinsville. Made his first career start back here in April of 23. Was in the Rick Ware 51 car. He was kind of just getting some starts under his belt. Not a good day, finishing 34th. Last spring, 31st when they were still figuring things out, but came back here in the fall and finished in 21st place. So a good run there of 21st. You like what you see there. But if you go back to his Truck Series days here, 4 career starts. The Truck Series only comes here once a year. So, or well, at that point, they only came here. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Now they're just coming here in the spring. So it is still once a year. They don't come back in the fall. But nonetheless, he's been good. His first career start here in 2020, starts in 2nd place, finishes in 3rd, leads 20 laps. 2021 comes back, starts 9th, leads 65 laps, wins on the day. 2022 leads 55 laps after starting on the pole, finished 9th. So drop back a little bit, but 3rd place finish here in the 2023 start, led a couple of laps on the day. So he's solid at this track in the Truck Series, much like Bubba Wallace. I meant to bring that up when you brought him up. think he got his first career win there, maybe even multiple wins in the Truck Series at Martinsville. It's translated into being good here in the Truck Series or in the Cup Series as well. I think you're seeing that with Zane, and at only 5,300 for a guy that continues to pop off for 40 plus, 50 plus points. That's the type of guy that, if you have a good solid lineup with the rest of your guys, puts you over the top that you're looking for. So yeah, going back to the Zane Smith well at $5,300.
Yes, sir. Zane Smith, one of those guys that we're going to continue to be able to use each and every week in DFS. If you if you pay attention, because he's going to be solid and he's going to get spots. And
really a guy we could every week play him on this show, and we try to change it up and stuff, but I think it's a good spot for him. But you could play him every week in your DFS lineup. You could bet on him almost every week for a top 10 finish because he continues to show and he continues to get not great odds. So until they start realizing it, keep Zane Smith in your thoughts each and every week as you go to do things, because he's really kind of been putting out, especially for the prices and the odds you've been getting him at.
Yeah, it's like our auto Kevin Harvick bet. It's like, this is your weekly reminder to put Kevin Harvick in your lineups.
That was a guaranteed hit, but this one's got some fluctuation. But for the price there it's at, it's worth it.
It is indeed. Speaking of at the price it's at, it's worth it. How about Todd Gilliland? $5,200 for young Todd Gilliland in that 38 truck. I'll just say that I hope that he has the kind of day that he had last spring, in which he gets you 36.6 points on the day. For $5,200, you're going to take that for sure. He started 13th and started 16th, ended up 13th. So got you 3 place differential points on that day, but a good solid outing for Todd Gilliland at Martinsville. Really, if you look at this season as a whole, he's averaging 24.6 fantasy points per race. That's actually not bad for a guy this far down on the pricing sheet, because you kind of, when you get muddled into the bottoms of this, you start to see guys that are only, 15, 11 or whatever, but not Todd Gilliland. He's actually scoring better than guys like Riley Herbst, Chase Briscoe on average, Austin Dillon, Ty Gibbs, Carson Hocevar, Brad Keselowski, Noah Gragson. He's scoring better than all these guys on a week-to-week basis in terms of fantasy points per race. So, and then when you look at the price that these guys that are at around him, like a Riley Herbst, $5,500, Chase Briscoe, $9,300 this week, Austin Dillon, $6,500, brought him up, Ty Gibbs, $7,000. Like, you're getting a guy that's consistently performing better on a fantasy basis, let's put it that way, than the other drivers around him. So, I mean, he hasn't lost you points all year long. Yeah, he only got you 3 points in the Daytona 500. Okay, that sucks. But he got you 13 points last week, 16 the week before that, 36 the week before that, 34 the week before that, 22. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, for him, I will take a 25-point day. I will take a 30-point day out of Todd Gilliland. He's already done it once. I think he can do it again. He's shown consistency this season that really he's not trying to go out there. They know they can't win the race. They know they can't. I mean, they think they can.
Josh Berry just won 2 weeks ago in the Wood Brothers car, Rod.
That's true.
Anybody can win.
That's true. That's true. But is a front row car a Penske car? No. So
hey, yeah. JDK, I don't see him in the chat today, but he'll tell you all those cars are exactly the same. So it's just as good.
No, but listen, I'm punting with Todd Gilliland. I don't normally bring him up. That's kind of weird for me, because I was looking at it going, I don't do this, but I
think usually a guy I bring up. But yeah, dude, front row. Oh, Zane Smith, Todd Gilliland, Noah Gragson. Oh, I love this team so much. And you're getting such good prices. So he's in the 34 car that Michael McDowell's driven the last few years. Like, he's the lead guy, the first guy ever at front row to get a multi-year deal. Like, they're invested in him. This team is just, it's being underrated. And where is Noah price-wise?
Noah is actually just a little bit above him, actually. So Noah is
69. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good bit more when these drivers I don't think are all that far apart. So I think that and Noah's getting respect because he does kind of have the name, especially from the Xfinity Series. Although Zane does from the Truck Series too, so I don't fully get that. And I like Noah as well. But these guys at this price down here with guys within $700 of Burt Myers, like, you're getting a really good deal on some guys with actual upside. So I love it.
I do too. All right, get out your pen and paper. We're about to go over our DFS picks for this slate. Cody started you off with Chase Elliott at $9,900 as his high price driver. I said Dennis Hamlin, old man Denny, young Dennis. I don't care what it is. $10,700 is my high price driver. Josh Berry for $8,100 is Cody's mid-tier driver. Bubba Wallace for me at $7,200 is my mid-tier driver. Zane Smith, $5,300 as Cody's value play. My value play, Mr. Todd Gilliland at $5,200. That is our picks for our DFS slates. We will come back from the break. We'll give you all of our favorite Underdog Fantasy plays for the race. But before we do, I want to officially tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We're going to give you all of our favorite Underdog Fantasy pick'ems when we come back. So Underdog, you can play any sport and win up to 1,000 times your entry. While you're waiting, sign up with our promo code RACESGPN. You're going to claim a special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. And I will add, just before we move on to the next one, these conversions are really the way that you can start helping the show too. So if you have yet to sign up for Underdog Fantasy, sign up with Race SGPN, get yourself in there, help the show out by signing up, because Underdog, they tend to take notice when people sign up with a specific promo code. So we'd love for you to support the show by signing up now with Race SGPN if you haven't already. Let me tell you about Edge Boost. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. You know your money's safe. The card is FDIC insured. And the best part, no credit check. It is completely free. So sign up today at edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN.
You know, if you're like me and you miss drafting fantasy football teams, which I used to do, I don't anymore, and that's because I'm constantly doing it all the time now. But they've got best ball is up. It's out. It's been out since before the Super Bowl. Like, I am just continually getting notifications on my phone. You're on the clock in these. I get a handful of slow drafts at a time. So I'm already building my best ball portfolio for this coming season. And it's fun because you got in, some of them you get into before free agency. So before you even knew where people were going to go. Now you're getting into them before the draft, before you know where people land. You can draft the rookies. So you call your shot on somebody. Maybe they end up in a good situation. Like, so much fun. Underdog is great for a lot of different things. So definitely get signed up with that promo code RACESGPN if you haven't already.
Yes, sir. And while you're at it, and once you do it, you can start using our plays to build up your multiplier and start making a ton of money on this one as well. It's as simple as this, folks. Underdog gives you a projected finishing position for each driver. You choose whether or not they're going to finish better than or worse than that position. You keep stacking them up until you feel comfortable, which, look, I like to eat big sandwiches, so I just keep stacking stuff up. I know I'm never going to be able to take a bite out of it, but I still stack it up because it looks pretty. You could do the same, but this is actually going to win you money, and you can eat all of that. So, let's have some fun with that. And as we always do, we'll give you our favorite plays for this Underdog Fantasy race sheet. So, Cody, where are we beginning?
Yeah, we're going to kick it off with the one that the Discord's already been tossing about. They opened his finishing position at 12.5. It's now 14.5, but they did not correct it enough. Kyle Busch, worse than 14.5. Look, I love some KFB. I am a holder of Kyle Busch to win the championship this year. I don't know if I should I admit that on the, I don't know if I should.
You can. It's a safe space, Cody.
It is. I still fully believe in Kyle Busch, and I believe he's a very talented driver. But Martinsville's not been so kind to him, especially in the next gen era. So they've got his finishing position at 14.5 in the fall race here, finished in 28th. Not better than that. Last spring here, 16th place, not better than 14.5. Fall of 23, 27th place. Spring of 23, 21st place. Fall of 22, 29th place. So that is the last 5 next-gen races. So 5 out of the 6 next-gen races. 4 of those 5 in the RCR car, 1 of those in the JGR car. You go back to the spring of 22. He did finish in 7th place here. And, before that, had a pretty good run, a 2nd, a 10th, and 9th. But that was in the old car. That was with Joe Gibbs Racing. The cars might come out of the same place now, but they are not the same. Richard Childress Racing has really just struggled on short tracks. It's of all of the places that they've gone, and he looks really good on road courses and mile and a half. They've had some speed. They've shown some stuff. Super speedways have been great. Short tracks, and the shorter it is, it seems like the worse it gets. They have not been good, and Kyle has just really been straight up bad here for the most part. I mean, over your last 5 races, 16th is the best finish. That's the only finish better than 20th, and they've got his projection set at 14.5. It doesn't check out. This will be in probably every single lineup I play this weekend because it's not hitting, and it hasn't really even come close in the last 5 races here. That's a pretty solid sample size, and he struggled so much. But we've noted it, right? He didn't really struggle as much last year as it looked like he did, and it just tracks like this, they couldn't figure it out, and I don't think that they have yet. Phoenix a couple weeks ago, he didn't look very good there either. So I'm gonna keep fading KFP for this weekend at least. Give me the worse than 14.5 on Kyle Busch.
Much like there's tracks that drivers are just innately good at, there's some that just full of gremlins for these guys. And it's hard to argue with the numbers, right? When
he used to be good, you go back to his Hendrick days, his Gibbs days, like tons of top 5s, tons of laps led, he's been good at this track, but I specifically think there's something and I don't even know if it's the next gen car, because the first race here he was good when he was with Joe Gibbs, and that was in April before they announced he was leaving. But I think it's something with the RCR cars that they just can't seem to figure it out here, because it's been really bad. And 16th being the best finish in the last 5 here, it's hard to make any case for him to even finish close to 14.5, let alone better than.
Yeah, I think somebody's been feeding his car after midnight and not good on the track. So, Dirty Reg saying Bush's top 5 numbers are insane. That's why.
Because they're not going to hit.
Exactly. Because books are going to make a ton of money off of that one this week. All right. Tell you what, Brad Keselowski. We love him. We love to hate him. Doesn't matter what happens. But his finishing projection is set at 12.5. I'm going to take the worst then on this instance for Brad Keselowski. But Rod, you say he finished 9th last fall in this race. Yeah, that's great, but that's the fall race. We talk about how that's a 500 lapper, not a 400 lapper. Let me read you his finishes before, and I promise that I will hold it together as I'm reading his finishes from from the spring of 2022 on. Okay. I'm going to not lose whatever little lunch I had earlier. 17th in the spring of 2022, 36th in the fall, 24th in the spring of 2023, 33rd in the fall, 24th in the spring of 2024. I was going to say, stop me when you hear a number better than 12.5, but you can't, because it's just not happening. For whatever reason, Brad Keselowski, this track is his kryptonite as well. Over the last few seasons, his average finish on this track overall in his entire career, 13.4, but you've got to go all the way back to his days with the 2 car, right? With the Penske car, when he started logging good finishes. 3rd place in the fall of 2021. Of course, this is all before the next gen era too. So really he had a good string of run in that 2 car, several top 10 finishes in a row. But since he's joined the 6, since he's started to own the 6 car, he has not done well on this track. He's only done it once. And I'm sorry, but I don't necessarily see anything this season that gives me any sort of hope that he's going to be better and running around in the top 11 or the top 12 this week as well. 26th at Daytona, 39th in Atlanta, 15th at Coda, 33rd at Phoenix. He did get an 11th place at Vegas. That's fantastic, but that Vegas race was kind of crazy anyways. But 26th last week at Homestead just has not been his season at all. And this track has not been kind to him in his RFK world. So for me, like I said, Brad Keselowski, I just don't see him competing for a top 12 finish. So give me the Brad Keselowski worse than 12.5.
Yeah, it's hard to argue for this. You know how much I love Keselowski. You know how much I love RFK. I am in on Priest this week. I am in on Busher, as I am every week. But as a whole, RFK definitely has struggled some. There's been some mixed in good there, unlike RCR, where it's all been bad. But yeah, it's and Brad, I think, led 170 laps or something here in the fall, but I think that was mostly tire strategy stuff. So, maybe kind of a sneaky DFS play in the being able to roll the dice. Nobody gambles more than Brad Keselowski does when it comes to the Cup Series. But for the finishing position, I got to agree with you. I think that it's going to be a little bit of a tall task for him this week.
Indeed. All right. What do we got next?
Well, you mentioned the 2-car and how good it used to be here. It's kind of still good here. Give me Austin Cindric better than 13.5. You can just add this to the car lift, right? We rode the car lift on him yesterday, of course, on the Cup Series betting picks show. So go back and check that out if you want to hear more in depth on him. But 4th place here in the fall, 9th place here a couple of years ago in the fall as well. Had an 11th place finish back here in 2022. So 3 of the 6 next gen races here. He's been inside of the top 11, but 2 of the last 3 is a little bit even better on that. And Austin Cindric, we touched on it yesterday. It feels like he started to get over that hump, and the talent that we know is there. We saw it for years. He just used to own the Xfinity Series for multiple years, dominated there, and then took some time, replaces a legend like Keselowski, was getting results, and they don't come right away, but they come eventually, and it's starting to all click for Cindric. You like to see, again, back to that laps led graphic we referenced. Joey Logano's first on the season. Austin Cindric, not Ryan Blaney, who's at a rocket ship a couple of weeks here. It's Austin Cindric who's second on that list. Been running good. I think he's going to continue to run good. You love the 4th place finish here in the fall. And all he has to do is finish 13th or better with this one. So give me the Austin Cindric better than 13.5.
You would actually make the expert Suck happy, as he was able to get Cindric instead of Smith in his lineup. So
yeah, we did leave, I think, $3,300 on the table with our DFS picks there. Obviously, we're not completely setting lineups, just set and forget with not having all the info here, but touching on highlighting the guys. But yeah, you could certainly pivot around and get guys like Austin Cindric, which great move by you. Listened yesterday, obviously. Yeah, big on the Cindric train this week as well. He's just really a guy that I think is going to have a pretty solid run. And 13th place, that's all. He doesn't have to go win the race. Doesn't have to lead a bunch of laps. Doesn't have to have fast. Just 13th place or better. That's it. And I don't think that's a super tall task for Cindric this week.
I don't think so either. I don't think Ross Chastain will have a super tough time getting inside of the top 10 in this race, but definitely better than 11.5, which is what he is projected at here. Well, okay, that's fine. I'm going to go with Ross Chastain then, who's going to be better than 11.5. See, I set this up because I went worse than, and then I was going to say I've done so many worse than I need to go better than, but maybe my optimistic mind straight ahead. So, yeah, Ross Chastain, better than 11.5 for this particular race. And here's the thing about Ross Chastain, right? On this particular track in the next gen era, his average finish is 9.8. He is the 8th best driver on this track in terms of average finishes in the next gen era. And look, you got to look at his finishes. 8th place last year, couple of 14th place finishes. That's not good. 13th either, but 4th place, 5th place in that one car. So he's got 3 top 10 finishes so far in this, and then just a couple of spots outside of this 12.5. But this season so far, in 5th place in Atlanta, 11th place at Phoenix. Those are 2 good, solid enough, oval tracks that you can kind of go back to that he's been running well. Homestead was pretty rough for him last week at 31 place finish. That's going to happen. But, he got a 12th place at Coda, 8th place in Atlanta. He's running well. He's running around the front no matter what track type he's on. And for whatever reason, he's a top 10 finisher on average on this track. So I kind of like the opportunity for him, especially in the next gen era, to get better than 12.5. And look, like I said, I've been given enough worse thans lately that it's hurting my soul. So I've got to go with the better than. And I really do think Ross Chastain has a pretty good shot of getting inside of the top 11 this week. So give me Ross Chastain better than 11.5.
Yeah, I like it. I wrote up an article over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com this week, and I tossed in a Ross Chastain matchup over there and said some pretty positive things about him. So make sure you go check that out. All right, here's one that I wanted to highlight. So Underdog has given us a lot of really good options this week. I think they're kind of just playing around with some different things. We saw them recently introduce the top manufacturer. So, you could go and play a guy. So, for example, I'm going to bring up Bubba Wallace. They've got his top Toyota. You can play that. Only the yes side. There's not a no option, but it instead of just, 1 times your entry, it gives you 4.23. So you play that with something else and you're bringing your money total up quicker, obviously. So they introduced that a little while ago. And then now they've kind of been playing around with adding in they have a ton of guys listed at 10.5. So essentially and better being the only option. So essentially you're just, calling your shot on them to finish in the top 10. And it increases your payout, just like, if you were betting on them, right? This is the fantasy part of it. But so I like that they're doing that. And some guys like John Nemechek, better than 10.5, 7.2. You play that with one other thing, even if it's just, 1 times your money or whatever it is, it really brings that number up quick. So I like it, and it's a great option. But one that I like, and I wanted to highlight this week, I'm going to take AJ Allmendinger, better than 10.5 at 4.5 times your entry. I talked about him yesterday in the betting aspect of things, right? Betting on him to get a top 10 because I think that he's capable, and at the number you're getting at, I think that it's worth it. Well, it's kind of the same thing in this case, in the fantasy lineup, where you're projecting him to finish in the top 10. We already think he could be capable of finishing in the top 10. So now if you throw that in your lineup, it's going to increase your multiplier quicker and bring your total entry winnings up more. So this is really fun from Underdog. I like it. I wanted to highlight it. But yeah, give me AJ Allmendinger better than 10.5. Again, that's at 4.5 times your entry instead of just, otherwise they probably have him listed at what, 18, 19, 20, and then you'd have the better or worse. Then you can pick your side. But I like this. You get to call your shot on a good finish from these guys. So he's coming off of 2 straight top 10s. Phoenix, again, short flat. Miami, you like that. We talked about it yesterday. The 4 next-gen races here haven't been great. All 23rd place or worse, but he's been really good on this track previously in JTG equipment, which, not good equipment at all, with even a second-place finish in that and a bunch of top 10s. Ran really well here. So I just think that the situation he's in, the mind, he's out of anybody in the field, Keselowski's the biggest gambler. AJ is the biggest mental guy, and he's got to be in the right mental space, which I think he is at this point in time. So I call my shot on him, and I appreciate Underdog for giving us the chance to do that at 4.5 times your entry. So yeah, give me the AJ Allmendinger better than 10.5.
Yeah, it's a great way to just get in. I love the different options. I really do. They are starting to really open this up for us and give us a lot of fun things to play with.
Just like to reiterate this too, Underdog is legal in 45 states because it is a fantasy game. So betting is not legal in 45 states. In some states like Nebraska, where I'm at, you can go to the casino, place bets in person. I don't have DraftKings and Caesars. Like I'm whatever the War Horse is offering, that's what you get, take it or leave it, right? So you don't get a ton of different options, but this is a way for you to get in on the action by playing a fantasy game that, incorporates other aspects of fantasy besides just the fastest laps and the things that DraftKings do. And yeah, I mean, you put these two things together, I'm fucking playing this. AJ Allmendinger, better than 10.5 finishing position, and Bubba Wallace to be the top Toyota. It's 57 times your entry fee. $10, you can win $571. Like that's what makes this so exciting. It's like, oh yeah, but AJ's he's only finished in the 20s. Like, you're getting something for calling your shot on that 57 times when you play it with the Bubba one. And that's 2 things have to go right. That's it. So yeah, it is really exciting, and I'm actually just gonna go ahead and hit play right now. Okay. Your picks are in. Let's go.
Walk the walk as we talk the talk. All right. Speaking of that, I'm going to finish on a worse than. Fine. Then this today wants me to finish on a down note. I'll finish on a down note. I'm going to take Tyler Reddick, worse than 14.5. It sounds 12.5. I'd still take it worse than 14.5, but definitely worse than 12.5. Look, if I told you, and I was gonna lead this off by saying driver A has an average start of 18.7 and an average finish of 20.8, 2 DNFs at Martinsville. Would you take this driver to finish better than 12.5? The answer would be no. And guess what? That driver happens to be Tyler Reddick. I'm definitely not taking his better than in this instance. He's got one finish better than 12.5 over his last almost his entire career, to be honest with you. He's got 2 finishes in his career, and his 10 career starts better than this finish. So outside of that, in the 8 car, 16th, 24th, and you talked about Childress not having this track figured out. I mean, this is proof positive. 16th, 24, 8th place in 2021 in the spring. That's cool. But 18th, 35th, 22nd now in the 45 and 23.11. And that's not a race where he just didn't have speed. He started 6th and ended up finishing 22nd in that one. 26th in the fall, 7th in the spring last year. It was a good run. Started 19th and finished 7th, but 34th, had brake issues and got out of that race last year in general. And this year, it's been a roller coaster for Tyler Reddick, right? You runner up at Daytona, 19th at Atlanta, 3rd at Coda, 20th at Phoenix, 24th at Las Vegas, and then 8th last week at Homestead. But we know that Tyler Reddick's good at Homestead. So you can't necessarily say, well, that's a good encouraging sign. No, because we know Tyler Reddick's good at Homestead. He's not good at Martinsville, and I don't think that he's going to find. If you look, normally Tyler Reddick's name is in a lot of the big rankings when it comes to top 10s on various tracks, right? And Martinsville, nowhere near the top 10 in driver ratings, according to iFantasy Race, in next-gen speed rankings, in average running position. He's just nowhere near the top 10 in average finish even. So
his average finish, Rod, is 1.3 spots better than Harrison Burton over the last 6 races.
Yeah, that's
if
not.
that tells you anything.
That is not good. That is no good. Yeah. So yeah, definitely this is not a track to look out for Tyler Reddick on. I think we talked about it a little bit in the betting episode yesterday when people were bringing up Tyler Reddick's name. We were like, yeah, not here though.
Yeah, I know he's got that 4th place finish, kind of an outlier. I think that was just in the fall here, wasn't it? I don't.
So Tyler Reddick's got the 7th place finish. That was
7th place finish. That's what it was. Yeah, and like, but he's been really, really bad here. Looking back through his thing, so it's a lot like Kyle Busch, where like, and man, I wanted to like Tyler Reddick. You look at the outright board and you're like, God, but it's Tyler Reddick, and then you're just like, yeah, but he's really fucking bad here. I don't know, and for whatever reason, and we kind of talked about this. I think we talked about this in the Discord maybe earlier, but some guys where the short flat thing translates a lot of the same places and they're good, but for some reason it doesn't always translate. For some people it does to Martinsville, and some people it doesn't. And Christopher Bell is one of those guys. Tyler Reddick's one of those guys. They just are, and that's part of the Bubba Wallace Top Toyota deal. Is Reddick's not good here? Like, he should be the best 2311 car this week in Bubba, and that the numbers really paying out that way. So yeah, unfortunately, huge Tyler Reddick fan here, but I have to agree with you.
But that's what I love too about Underdog, is that you can now also obviously profit off of them not finishing in a good spot. Like, this is the way to take it. Because we talk about guys in the betting episode that we like to do well. Well, yeah. Underdog is the opportunity for you to capitalize on them not doing well. So that's and
they're kind of strapped because they can't make him much worse than 12.5, because then they're going to leave themselves exposed to what is a really good race car driver. And a lot of people are casually just going to be like, whoa, Tyler Reddick 12.5. Yeah. And not look into it. And that's where we have the advantage of, hey, we know that most of the time he's not better than this here. And so that's where, it's going to lead you towards he shouldn't do it again.
Indeed. All right. Get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our Underdog picks for this race. Cody started you off with Kyle Busch, worse than 14.5. I said Brad Keselowski would finish worse than 12.5. Cody said Austin Cindric would finish better than 13.5. I said Ross Chastain would finish better than 11.5. Cody said that AJ would finish better than at 10.5. Young Allmendinger at 4.5 times your money, which is fantastic. And I ended with Tyler Reddick worse than 12.5 in this cookout 400 from the Martinsville Speedway. Cody?
All right. Well, just like yesterday's show, I'm going to get excited for Trucks and Xfinity tomorrow. But for real this time, we will have a show tomorrow with Trucks and Xfinity. Truck Series outrights are finally out. All the Xfinity props are already out. So, we'll be good to go by showtime tomorrow. Probably going to be a little bit of a later show tomorrow. So stay tuned. This is a great opportunity. If you do like listening live, make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Click that bell. We try to be around 4 Central 3 times a week most of the time. But we got some scheduling conflicts tomorrow. So it's going to be a later show. We don't have a set time yet. So, that forces you to click subscribe and click the bell so you do know when it goes live.
Yep, blame it on me. Got to work a little bit later in the afternoon than I'm normally used to. So have to push the show back to later on in the night because I got the back road tomorrow night too. So, we'll make sure to give you our full attention, and that'll be later rather than normal. So, all right, Cody. Well, then, as we send everybody off to prepare for their Underdog and DFS lineups, let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, follow me over on the X at @Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff there. Speaking of that, Underdog has NFL season-long projection stuff. Article coming out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com for that. Probably be out later today. If not, it'll be out by tomorrow. Got another NFL mock draft coming out. Bunch of Arena Football 1 content. We're knee-deep into that season. That's been a blast. So, yeah, follow me over at Husker_Zeeb for all that. See you guys in the Discord. See you back here tomorrow. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in about everything I got going on, whether it's here. Make sure to check out the back road. Seth, Elliott, and I are going to hold it down for the first short track of the season. And then, of course, stay tuned for all the other stuff that I've got going on as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Trucks and Xfinity on tap for real this time. Love you all. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.